Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Tuesday, January 4th, 2022. Today we're going to recap last night's Monday Night Football game and the rest of the sports' games. Look ahead to everything today, including a college football bowl game between Kansas State and LSU. News and notes, NFL power rankings, and my best bet of the day. We're going to start in the NFL. We're going to recap the emotional game from last night, which in all likelihood was Ben Roethlisberger's final home game at Heinz Field, as the Steelers fittingly win 26-14 to keep their playoff hopes alive. So they improved to 8-7-1. Cleveland drops to 7-9 on the season. Ben in his last home game, 24-46, 123 yards, a touchdown, the pick. Najee Harris, by the way, 28 carries, 188 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, he's been right up there, Jonathan Taylor, in terms of impact on the team. And then Baker Mayfield, 16-38, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks. As now folks are wondering if Baker has played his last game as a Brown. And you saw last night how Ben was going all out and running around the field at the end of the game. Really emotional, too. And it was an emotional night for Steelers fans and obviously Steelers players as well. And now you have to wonder the future of the Steelers in terms of where they go at the quarterback position, and whether they pursue like a Russell Wilson in a trade or maybe like an Aaron Rodgers, or do they look to the draft and start from scratch and begin the rebuilding project. But if I'm them, I really just go for a veteran because they're close to winning. I mean, their offensive line is really good. They have a star running back in Najee Harris. They have some talented wide receivers on the team as well. And they're just like in a decent spot going forward. But the elephant in the room is that they're not the kings of that division going forward. That, my friends, is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. So they just have to keep up with the Bengals in the AFC North. So it's going to be interesting to see like what the Steelers do this offseason in terms of the quarterback position. All right, now we'll move on to college basketball. We will recap the games from yesterday, and we will look ahead to the games for today. Alabama State over Mississippi Valley State, 84-75. Drexel over Towson, 65-61. Number 23, Wisconsin over number 3, Purdue, 74-69. Bethune-Cookman over Florida A&M, 66-59. Sam Houston over Texas Rio Grande, 86-78. Number 8, Arizona over Washington, 95-79. UTSA over Dallas Christian, 101-48. Houston Baptist over Ecclesia, 94-63. Southern over Texas Southern, 63-50. Alabama A&M over Arkansas Pine Bluff, 70-50. And a Grambling over Prairie View in a forfeit. And Iowa over Maryland, 80-75. Now we look ahead to the games for today. First up at 6 o'clock, you have Ohio and Akron. My projection here is Ohio by 2 3/8. Meanwhile, the line is Akron by 1.5. Total 130.5. I'm going to take Ohio plus the 1.5. And the money line for them to win outright at plus 102. 6:30 on the SEC Network. Number 9 Auburn and South Carolina. My projection is Auburn by 6 1/8. And it's Auburn 10.5 total 145.5. I'm taking South Carolina in the points. That's too high. Conference home game for South Carolina. So give me the Gamecocks and the points. 7 o'clock on ESPN2. Oklahoma at number 1 Baylor. My projection is Baylor by 13. And it is Baylor by 13. Total 138.5. I have to go with the total in this game. And the way I'm going to go is the under. Because I just think that this is a lower scoring game than people will expect, because I think that the defenses will step up. Number 14, Texas at Kansas State. My projection is Texas by 10 5/8. And it is 6 123. I'm definitely taking the Longhorns here and the points. ESPN number 16, Kentucky, number 21, LSU. Huge game. My projection is Kentucky by 3/4, and it's LSU by 1.5. Total of 140.5. The question for me is whether to pull the trigger with Kentucky or not. I do have some wiggle room. So I'm going to take Kentucky plus the 1.5. And then I'll take them to win outright as a dog at plus 102. Army and Bucknell, my projection for this game is Army by 4. And it is Bucknell by 1.5. Total of 147.5. I'm going to take Army plus the 1.5, and they're a plus 106 dog to win outright. Holy Cross and Loyola, Maryland. My projection for this game is Loyola by 9 5/8. And it's 11.5 total, 133.5. So no wiggle room to go Holy Cross here. So instead I'm going to go with the under. Colgate and Lehigh. My projection is Colgate by 7.25. And it's 8.5 and 144.5. I'll take the over in that spot. BU and Navy. Projection Navy by 3/4, and it's Navy 3.5 to the 126.5. I'll take BU plus the 3.5, and I like them in the game too, plus 152 to win outright. But I don't project them to win. Florida State and Wake Forest. My projection for this game is Florida State by 4 7/8. And it's Wake by 1.5, total 146. We'll take Florida State plus 1.5 and even money to win straight up. NC State and Virginia Tech on the ACC Network. My projection for this game is Virginia Tech by 8 7/8. And it's 10 138.5. I'm going to go with the over. Liberty and Stetson. My projection is Liberty by 6.5. And it's 6.5 and 127.5. It's low, so I'm going to take the over in this game. Central Arkansas and Eastern Kentucky. Projection, Eastern Kentucky by 18.5. And it's 18.5, total 159.5. That's very high. I'm going to take the under. Toledo and Central Michigan. My projection is Toledo by 13.7. And it's 12.5 and 152.5. I'm going to take the over, even though that's a high number. Kent State and Ball State. My projection is Kent State by 2.25. And it is Kent by 1.5, total 143.5. I'm going to take another over. Eastern Michigan and Western Michigan. My projection is Western by 3. It's Eastern by 2.5, total 137.5. I'm taking Western plus the 2.5 and plus 126 to win outright. Texas A&M and Georgia on ESPNU. My projection is A&M by 8.5. And it's 6 and 140.5. I'm going to lay the 6 with Texas A&M. Michigan Rutgers. My projection is Michigan by 2. By the way, this game's on the Big Ten Network. And it's 4 and 133.5. I'm going to take Rutgers plus the 4. And also on the Big Ten Network, Illinois, Minnesota. My projection for this game is Illinois by 8 and 1/8. And it's 6.5 and 140. I'll take the over. 8 o'clock, CBS Sports Network. Number 24, Seton Hall and Butler. My projection is Seton Hall by 1 and 7/8. And it's 3.5 and 131. I'll take the over. North Alabama and Lipscomb. My projection is Lipscomb by 5 3/4. And it's 4.5 and 140.5. I'll take the over. Buffalo and Northern Illinois was postponed. So that's unfortunate. Vanderbilt and Arkansas on the SEC Network at 8:30. My projection is Arkansas by 12 and 7/8. And it's 7.5 and 141.5. I'm laying the points with Arkansas. Georgia Tech and Duke. My projection is Duke by 18.25. By the way, this game's 9 o'clock ACC Network. And it is 18 and 141. I'll take the over. ESPN2, number 6, Kansas at Oklahoma State. My projection is Kansas by 7 3/8. And it is 6.5 and 146. I'll take the under. Number 16, Providence at Marquette on Fox Sports 1. My projection is Providence by 7 3/4. And it's 2 and 137.5. I'm laying the 2 with Providence. I'll lay the 2 with Providence. Air Force and number 20, Colorado State. My projection is Colorado State by 22.5. And it's 20 and 131.5. I'll lay the 20 with Colorado State. ESPNU, Tulsa, Memphis. My projection is Memphis 10.5. And it's 13.5 and 144. I'll take Tulsa in the 13.5. Virginia, Clemson. My projection is Virginia by 3 3/4. And it's Clemson by 4, total 122. I'm taking Virginia plus the 4 and plus 152 to win straight up. And last but not least, Long Beach State and Cal State Fullerton at 10 o'clock. My projection is Fullerton by 8 1/4. And it's 7.5 and 141.5. I'll take the over. All right, now I'm going to do NBA. And I'll recap the games from yesterday, and we'll look ahead to a much smaller slate for tonight. 76ers over the Rockets, 133-113. Wizards over the Hornets, 124-121. Grizz over the Nets, 118-104. Bulls over the Magic, 102-98. Pistons over the Bucks, 115-106. Jazz over the Pelicans, 115-104. Mavs over the Nuggets, 103-89. Warriors over the Heat, 115-108. Blazers over the Hawks, 136-131. And Timberwolves over the Clippers, 122-104. So best bet is 1-0 in 2022. Now we look ahead to tonight. 7 o'clock, you have the Grizzlies and the Cavaliers. My projection is Memphis by 1 5/8. And it is Cleveland by 3, total 217.5. I'm going to go with the Grizzlies getting the 3 and plus 126 straight up. They have the best player on the court in this game, and his name is Ja Morant. Spurs Raptors, my projection is Toronto by 9.5. It's 5.5 and 222.5. I'm going to lay the points with the Raptors, with them getting some guys back and no DeJounte Murray for San Antonio. 7:30 from the Garden, Pacers Knicks on NBA TV. My projection is New York by 7 3/4. And it's Knicks only by 1.5, total 209.5. Oh my God. Boy, if things fall in with the Knicks. But I'm going to lay the points here with them because Indiana is missing some key players, as is New York. But I think that no Malcolm Brogdon and no Karis LeVert is a big deal. And I don't think that the two big men could do it by themselves for Indiana. 8 o'clock, the Suns and the Pelicans. My projection is Suns by 13 7/8. And it's 7 2, 18.5. I'm going to lay the points with the Suns. And last but not least, the Kings and the Lakers, 10:30 NBA TV. My projection is Lakers by 6 1/4. And it is 7 228.5. I'm going to take the over because both of these teams tend to score a lot and don't defend. So I really like the over in this game despite Anthony Davis not playing. All right, now we'll move on to the NHL. We will recap the game from last night, and we will look ahead to tonight's games. And the Rangers defeated the Oilers 4-1. I told you guys that the Rangers should have been favored. I know Alexander Georgiev, but they still should have been favored at home against the Edmonton team that's fallen on its face. New York is 22-8-4. Edmonton is 18-13-2. Now we look to tonight. And by the way, the Rangers right now are in the driver's seat. They're tied for first in the entire league with the Capitals for most points. So that's wild. All right. At 7 o'clock, you have the Devils and the Bruins from TD Garden. The Bruins are minus 275. New Jersey's plus 220 over under 5.5, minus 110 each way. New Jersey plus 1.5 is minus 122. Boston minus 1.5 is even money. I'm going to go with the over in this game. I think there's going to be a lot of goals in this game because I don't think either team is strong in goal. Caps, Habs postponed. Flames, Panthers. I don't have projections in hockey. Panthers minus 142. Calgary plus 118. Over under 6. Overs minus 120. Unders minus 102. Flames plus 1.5 is minus 225. Panthers minus 1.5 is plus 180. Kind of like Calgary. I think they're going to win outright. Plus 118. Lightning, Blue Jackets. Tampa minus 230. Buffalo. Columbus plus 188. Over under 6. Overs minus 114. Unders minus 106. Tampa minus 1.5 is plus 118. Columbus plus 1.5 is minus 144. Tampa have some time off. I think they're going to be ready. But I like the under here. I think Columbus could keep it a little lower scoring. Maybe 4-0 Tampa. 7:30 Sharks Red Wings. Detroit minus 115. San Jose minus 104. Over under 6. Overs minus 104. Unders minus 118. Sharks plus 1.5 is minus 290. Detroit minus 1.5 is plus 225. I'm going with Detroit as a slight home favorite at minus 115. 8:30 Avalanche Blackhawks. Colorado minus 260. Chicago plus 210. Over under 6. Overs minus 122. Under is even money. Colorado minus 1F is plus 102. Chicago plus 1F is minus 124. I'm going to go Avalanche puck line minus 1F at plus 102. Jets Coyotes. Jets minus 230. Arizona plus 188. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 118. Unders minus 104. Winnipeg minus 1F is plus 120. Arizona plus 1F is minus 148. I'm going to lay the puck line with the Jets. Parlaying that with the over would be fun, by the way. 10 o'clock Predators Golden Knights. Vegas minus 142. Preds plus 118. Over under 6. Overs minus 102. Unders minus 120. Preds plus 1F is minus 215. Vegas minus 1F is plus 172. This is a tough one here. So I'm going to go with Vegas in regulation at plus 105. And last but not least, Flyers Ducks. Ducks minus 146, Flyers plus 122, over under 5.5, minus 110 each way. Flyers plus 1F is minus 230, Ducks minus 1F is plus 184. Tough call here, but I'm going to go with the over. I think that this could be like a 3-2 game. Empty net decides the total. So I'm going to go over 5.5 for this one. And then Islanders Kraken postponed. All right, college bowls. We have one tonight between LSU and Kansas State, which is the Texas Bowl at our RG Stadium in Houston. So it's the last bowl game before the national title game. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. My projection here is Kansas State by 7, total 50.15, 7.5 and 47.5. I really like the over in this game. I think with Skylar Thompson back, I think that there's going to be more scoring in this game than you may expect. And I think there's a chance that LSU's quarterback might show off a little bit here to try to earn a job for next year. So I really like the over 47.5 in the final bowl game before the national title game. All right, now move on to news and notes for today. Breaking news coming down maybe as we start recording. Ken Rosenthal is out at MLB Network. That's just very sad news. He's a great reporter, and I think that he will ultimately land on his feet somewhere. So, best of luck to him. Baker Mayfield will get surgery. He'll go undergo procedure to repair torn labrum and may not play Week 18. Jimmy Butler exited this game against the Warriors after suffering what looked to be an ankle injury. Klay Thompson teases a potential return. He threw up 6 fingers after shoot-around yesterday. The number of days until his reported return. So got to keep an eye on that. Dante DiVincenzo out a few weeks after rolling his surgically repaired ankle during warm-ups. We talked about Big Ben's last game in the beginning of the show. JJ brags to TJ about the sack record, and as JJ tweets about having 2 20-sack seasons after his brother made the club tonight as comedy, so gotta check that out. So here's some interesting news related to sports. Fanatics acquiring Topps trading cards and collectibles businesses and deals slated to be finalized Tuesday. So that is very interesting news. Dylan Gabriel flips to Oklahoma as he initially committed to UCLA, now he's going to Oklahoma. Nick Saban on expanded playoffs. Don't see the logic in it that if we had more teams, there would be better games. I think he's right. Oklahoma's Caleb Williams staying in portal. Or he's in the portal, but staying with the Sooners is an option despite the portal. Urban Meyer denies ex-player's claim, as he says it's absolutely false that 2017 OSU meeting showed Trayvon Martin photo to present teams no hoodie rule. So part of that Rajon Rondo to the Cavs deal happened. The Lakers sent Denzel Valentine to the Knicks, who was waived by the Knicks and now is in free agency. We talked about Clay potentially coming back on Sunday against Cleveland. The Houston Rockets suspend Christian Wood and Kevin Porter Jr. for last night's game due to the poor behavior in Saturday's loss. Jake Fromm starting Week 18 for the Giants, as Mike Lennon will be getting season-ending wrist surgery. So it'll be Fromm against the Washington professional football team. The MLB lockout end is not close, as the sides have no upcoming CBA talks planned after meeting twice in December. That's according to USA Today's Bob Nightingale. The new AP poll is out for college basketball. Baylor and Duke remain at the top. Purdue's 3, Gonzaga's 4, 5 UCLA, 6 Kansas, 7 USC, 8 Arizona, 9 Auburn, 10 Michigan State, 11 Iowa State, 12 Houston, 13 Ohio State, 14 Texas, 15 Alabama, 16 Providence, 17... it's a tie between Providence and Kentucky, 18 Tennessee, 19 Villanova, 20 is Colorado State, 21 LSU, 22 Xavier, 23 Wisconsin, 24 Seton Hall, and 25 is Texas Tech. So there's your top 25 in the AP poll. So one sports-related item left to talk about, but it's mixed in the pop culture as well. The Buffalo Bills honored Betty White and play Thank You for Being a Friend at the game, which was nice. Whoopi Goldberg tests positive for COVID-19 and will be off The View this week. So you would wonder if Michelle Tafoya is going to be on The View instead. That's going to be a fun little subplot to watch. Michelle Tafoya being on The View. Sometimes the Grammys likely to be postponed again due to COVID concerns. That's according to a report. So that's something to keep an eye on. Former Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes guilty of fraud and conspiracy. Yikes. And AT&T and Verizon delay 5G rollout for 2 weeks after airlines warn of risk. So that's your news and notes for today. Next, we're going to do my NFL power rankings. And this week, I decided to do a theme. The 3-word phrase for every team's season. So this is a fun one, and I really liked doing this one. Number 32 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not that simple. It's not that simple that you hire a big-name coach and have the number 1 overall pick taking the consensus best quarterback, and you're good. And guess what happens? They were the biggest dumpster fire in the league this year. That's what happened. Number 31, the New York Football Giants. Poorly judged team. This is obviously, the word judged is used because of Joe Judge and how I think he did a 180 from last year to this year, and now I think he might be on the verge of getting fired. Number 30 is the Houston Texans. Tanks for nothing. Deshaun Watson doesn't play. They win some meaningless games. There's no good quarterback in the draft. And tanks for nothing. And they're not getting Aiden Hutchinson or Kevon Thibodeau either. So tanks for nothing. 29, the Detroit Lions. Best awful team. Dan Campbell really has this team playing hard over the last couple weeks of the season here. So they're the best awful team. Number 28, the New York Jets. A promising flight. they've shown a lot of promise over the last couple weeks here at the end of the season. With a ton of good, young, talented players. And maybe the future's a little brighter with Gang Green than you think. 27, the Carolina Panthers. Bad rule breakers. I love using the coaches' names. And that's like the Giants one, poorly judged team. And then this is a bad rules breaker. Bad rule breakers. Because they've just been bad. And Matt Rule isn't as good as a coach as we thought either. It's like Joe Judge. And they have a bad quarterback situation too. There's a lot of similarities with Carolina and the Giants, except that Carolina has more talent. 26 is the Washington football team. What football team? What football team? They got their asses handed to them by the Cowboys. They just have collapsed in a lot of games. So, yeah, what football team? 25, the Seattle Seahawks. Russ ain't cooking. That's for sure because they're what this year? 6-10, 5-11. Number 24, Chicago Bears. No field days. Well, that's for sure because we haven't seen much of Justin Fields, and Justin Fields really hasn't been all that special when he's played. 23, the Atlanta Falcons. A pity party. Yeah, Kyle Pitts is in there and he's good. But it's a pity party because they're 32nd in DVOA, but they have a better record than teams like the Giants and the Jaguars. So it feels like a pity party. Because they're 32nd in DVOA and they're still mediocre. Number 22, the Cleveland Browns. Same old Browns. Eliminated from playoff contention before week 17. Coming this season with a lot of promise and hope, and nope, same old Browns. Number 21, the Denver Broncos. Big what ifs. There's a lot of big what ifs with this team. What if they acquired Aaron Rodgers? What if they drafted Mac Jones? Number 20, the New Orleans Saints. Overachievers sans injuries. I think the Saints have massively overachieved this year with a ton of injuries. I think Sean Payton's done an excellent job. But the fact that they're in playoff contention still going into week 18 is remarkable. Number 19, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Bye, Ben. It's obvious that Ben Roethlisberger's leaving. He's not the same quarterback anymore. He can't move the way he used to. 18, the Miami Dolphins. Not Tua B. It wasn't Tua B that the Dolphins were going to go on this magical turnaround to make the playoffs. I mean, it can't go ignored, obviously, but it wasn't Tua B that they'd make the playoffs. And that's another funny one, Tua B. Number 17, the Philadelphia Eagles. They ain't hurting. And this is a reference to Jalen Hurts, obviously, that Jalen Hurts really hasn't hurt them in a lot of the games other than that game against the Giants at MetLife. So they ain't hurting. They're in the playoffs. 16, the Minnesota Vikings. Oh, so close. If 3 games gone differently for them, they're easily in the playoffs. They're probably the 5 seed. At Baltimore, at Detroit, and at Arizona are 3 games they should have won. They lost them all. And home Dallas on the Sunday night. 4 games Minnesota should have won, and they lost them all. If they won 2 of those games, they're in the playoffs. So close. Number 15, the Baltimore Ravens. Injuries and decisions. That's what I think the Ravens season has been defined by. They need some help to get into the playoffs. I mean, obviously the injuries, Lamar Jackson, obviously most notable, and Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters. You can go down the list. And in decisions, going for 2, for wins in a couple games, which ultimately cost them games. So I think their season's been defined by injuries and decisions. This is my favorite one. 14, the Indianapolis Colts. Tailor-made team. This team is tailor-made for the quarterback Carson Wentz because of Jonathan Taylor. And it's tailor-made for Jonathan Taylor because of the great offensive line. Number 13, the Las Vegas Raiders. Adversity ass kickers. I mean, they've kicked adversity's ass this year. No team has done it more so than the Raiders. They had the John Gruden thing, the Henry Ruggs thing, and here they are with a chance to make the playoffs with a win on Sunday night. Number 12, the San Francisco 49ers. Rope-a-dope. This is what this team has been, a rope-a-dope. They rope you in and then they dope you out. Number 11, the Arizona Cardinals. Repeat of 2020. That's what it really feels like despite making the playoffs this year. Great first half and then a decline in the second half of Kyler Murray really not looking the same. Number 10, the Tennessee Titans. Next man up. That's been the theme of their season. Derrick Henry goes down. They still hang in games and win. Taylor Lewan, the receivers. So next man up has been their theme all year. Number 9, the Los Angeles Chargers. Feast or famine. This has been the feast or famine team of the year. They get their butts kicked by the Ravens. And then they destroy the Bengals. They destroy the Giants. They destroy the Broncos. They lose to the Texans. So this is definitely feast or famine. Number 8, the Los Angeles Rams. Rock stars must rock. That's how I feel about the Rams if they are to make a Super Bowl run. And that's their key to winning games. Aaron Donald, Matthew Stafford, Odell Beckham Jr., Cooper Kupp. They're all rock stars. They got to rock. Maybe Cam Akers back. That would help the running game immensely. He's an upgrade over Sony Michel. So the rock stars must rock. Obviously, Jalen Ramsey, too. Number 7, the New England Patriots. Don't forget Bill. I think that Bill has done an amazing job with the Patriots this year. And I think that he's still the best coach in the division. I know Sean McDermott's really good, but don't forget Bill Belichick. He's still the best coach in football for me. Number 6, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Need good health. I think the Bucs need good health if they are to go on a run. And if Tom Brady is to really expand his legacy. And they need good health on both sides of the ball. Number 5, the Kansas City Chiefs. Entering cap hell. We know this team is very flawed, especially on the defensive side of the ball. We saw it in the game against the Bengals, and their offense even showed some flaws, including in the game in which they beat the Packers with Jordan Love. They weren't good in that game. They almost lost to the Giants. So there's been games this year, and even the Cowboy game, they weren't all that great in either. And entering cap hell is for sure because there's holes on the roster, and they have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill and Chris Jones making a boatload of money. So, yeah, and we've seen cap casualties already with the with their starting offensive lineman from last year, Eric Fisher, and I forget the other one, Mitchell Schwartz, who were cut, and now they really are in a rough spot. Number 4 is the Cincinnati Bengals. A loud roar. That's for sure. They really did make a loud roar by being the breakthrough team of the season, winning the AFC North. and Joe Burrow being an MVP candidate. Number 3, the Dallas Cowboys. Blue chip defense. That's what the Cowboys have now, which they didn't have in the past. They have blue chippers all over their defense. DeMarcus Lawrence, Trayvon Diggs, Micah Parsons, Leighton Vander Esch. Vander Esch looked like a blue chipper early on, but I think he's been overshadowed by Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs on that defense. And obviously, DeMarcus Lawrence is still good and in his prime as well. So the blue chip defense is a huge reason for this team's success, despite the offense being a machine at times. Number 2, the Green Bay Packers. Rodgers for MVP. I think Aaron Rodgers should be the MVP this year. I think that there's a chance he doesn't win it because there's going to be voters that are upset with what happened earlier in the year. But I think that if he doesn't win, it should be because somebody like Joe Burrow has surpassed him due to his performance leading the Bengals to the playoffs. So I think what happened earlier in the year should not cost Aaron Rodgers the MVP. And number 1, the Buffalo Bills. New division kings. I really like how the Bills have played. They're the new kings of the AFC East. Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the AFC East. I think that Sean McDermott's a really good coach. I still think Bill's the best coach in that division, but I still think the Bills are going to be the new division kings going forward. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. There are some tough calls, and the game I like a lot is in the NBA. Oh, the Suns went up to 8. I'm going to lay the 5.5 with Toronto against the Spurs. No DeJounte Murray. Raptors have some guys back, so I'm going to lay the 5.5 with Toronto against the Spurs. I have a really nice edge on the Knicks, too, but the Knicks are missing Julius Randle and Derrick Rose and Kemba Walker. So I think my projection's a little out of whack there, and that's because of Indiana's injury. So I'm going to go Toronto minus 5.5 at home against the DeJounte Murray-less San Antonio Spurs. All right, so that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping the games from tonight, looking ahead to tomorrow. And then obviously news and notes and best bet. I hope you guys have a great day, everyone.